You're listening to the Mezzo Guild podcast.
بس أنا لازم أحسه الأول عشان أقوله.
아직 나의 어색한 한국말이 짤따рат하고 지적하진 말아주세요.
Я хочу с тобой серьезно поговорить.
Gréil go níos fearr agat. No, an chuid is mó daoine sa hír seo.
Language learning made simple. Hey everyone, greetings from Jordan. I know it's been a while since I've actually posted an update on what I'm doing, but I'll be sharing details in the coming weeks about what I've been doing specifically in Jordan. Today I want to talk about something else though. You might remember that earlier this year I shared that we had our first child, son, and how I anticipated that it would significantly change the focus of what I do, especially on the Mezzofanti Guild. For almost 6 years, I have been documenting my language immersion in various parts of the world. I've been moving around and basing myself in all sorts of places. Places like South Korea, Russia, Egypt, Qatar, Georgia, Turkey, Ireland, Italy, and I've been doing it all as a solo traveler. But while being single and free was fun and it had its advantages, the solo living out of a suitcase thing got really old. Now, believe it or not, it loses its thrill when you have nobody to experience it with. And when you're getting on a plane to go somewhere all the time, it starts to feel like a bus ride to a job that you hate. I came to a decision that I wanted to continue doing what I love, traveling, immersing myself in different languages, but at the same time sharing it with a family of my own. You know, getting old while possessing nothing but cool experiences and visa stamps in my passport really just seemed like a pointlessly depressing pursuit. So fast forward to now, our son is already 8 months old, and we just made a last-minute decision to take him on his first trip to the Arabic-speaking world. And, it's important to me that my son grows up completely familiar with and at home in other cultures and languages, especially Arabic. The earlier I get him exposed, the better. It's also important that my wife is part of what I'm doing so that my home life and my language immersion life aren't two separate worlds. I believe that compartmentalizing life like that is not healthy for a marriage anyway. Now, I might sound a little too harsh on myself here, but this trip as a family has really opened my eyes to something that I had never given consideration to before in all my travels while single. And that is that the quality and maturity of the friendships that we're making seem to be so much richer and more real. I feel like I've finally grown up. I'm just now realizing how selfish and frankly infantile things had been beforehand in my interaction with people everywhere I moved. As far as the topics and the content of foreign language use go, my conversations aren't all about me anymore. In many ways, this is the most challenging language immersion that I've ever done, even though it's in Arabic, which is my strongest language. How so? Well, because for the first time, I've found myself needing to communicate on a very non-superficial level about familial, financial, and emotional issues that were never really important to me or relevant to me before being a husband and a father. Not just about our issues either. Now, I'm going to divulge more, like some specific examples of these conversations in the next week, as I've had some really powerful and life-changing encounters that have really pushed me to a new level in more ways than one. Now, as crazy as this sounds to my longtime readers and listeners, it really feels like my first adult language immersion trip. Now, it does come with a new set of challenges, however. There are a few things that I've found to be challenging, a really challenging adjustment. Firstly, even single people know that whenever you travel to a place where you're fluent in the language, but your family or your travel companions aren't, it can become a highly stressful situation because you're basically working as an interpreter the whole time. Now, while this has forced me to improve even more quickly, sometimes my wife will ask me to communicate something. It'll be something really, really important that I find genuinely challenging to explain, and therefore I have to figure out a way to do it on the spot. It's very, very tiring. It's very fatiguing. A few times toward the end of the day, I had to literally say, my brain has just had enough of this. I can't do this anymore. You have to stay aware of what's happening in English, keep an eye on your family to make sure that they're okay, while at the same time thinking in and speaking Arabic. I can't emphasize how exhausting this is, believe me. Thinking in a foreign language is easy, but when you have to think back and forth in two languages, it's something else entirely. Now, I kind of experienced this 3 years ago in Egypt when my Italian friends visited me there, and I was like the middleman between them and the Egyptians. But having a family of my own who I'm responsible for just totally upped the challenge big league. Another challenge for me, and something that I do consider an advantage of traveling single, is a lack of flexibility with time and random encounters. One of the things that I love about the Middle East is that every day is totally unpredictable, completely unpredictable. I've had so many days, countless days, where I've simply gone to the store to buy something in the morning, or I've gone to do something in the morning, and I've ended up returning home late in the evening because some random person I met invited me to their home. It's very common in the Middle East, and with a family and a young baby, things just need to be more organized. You can't just do that whenever you want. It doesn't mean that you can't take advantage of these random encounters. It just means that you have to be selective about what you do. Now, traveling as a family is a massive door opener for language immersion, especially in the Middle East. I've always found Arabic speakers to be incredibly welcoming, easy to befriend and practice their language with, more than anywhere else in the world, in fact. But having a family with a baby in Jordan is like walking around with a conversation magnet, and it's an instant badge of respect. I now see that beforehand, when I was staying in Egypt or Jordan as a young, unmarried guy, I was really just one of the shabab, which means like a young guy, a youth in Egypt. There's an unmistakable difference in the way that people treat you when you're married with kids. I kind of knew this already in theory, but experiencing it for the first time has been something else. And it's a real buzz when people refer to me by the title Abu Aiden. That's my son's name is Aiden. It means the father of Aiden. So people actually refer to me as Abu Aiden instead of my first name, Donovan. It's a real buzz. And we've made so many new Jordanian, Iraqi, and Syrian friends, many refugee friends, which I'll explain next week. I'm absolutely positive that a lot of these experiences, a lot of these new encounters and friendships just wouldn't have been possible or wouldn't have happened as easily if I was traveling as a single guy. So I'll share an update with you next week on where I'll talk about some of the specifics, some of the things that we've been doing here in Jordan.